Welcome to another edition of Buc What You Heard. My name is Gene. You can reach me at Super Heavyweight on Twitter. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. I really enjoy, talking football, anything football. It doesn't have to be Bucks. I wish it was. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions or, shout you out if you want me to. The second week in a row, I'm joined by a couple of special guests, Michael and Mark. And I want you guys to tell everybody about your blog. Let's start with you, Mark. Go ahead and tell everybody about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Mark Ramirez. Along with Mike, we run Real Bucks Talk at realbuckstalk.blogspot.com. We're pretty much major Buccaneer fans. Been there since pretty much birth. Die hard. If they win, we're on top of the world. If they lose, we're sunken until next week, waiting for another win. So we've been through a lot of hard years, as every Buck fan knows, and we're looking forward to the new future where Jameis Winston and Jason Light leading the way. And we're going to be leading the way, writing blogs from here on forward. We're hoping more Bucks fans join us. And you can reach us at Real Bucks Talk on Twitter and Real Bucks Talk on Facebook as well.
All right. And his partner, Michael, tell everybody about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Michael Plus. I just agree with Mark. I'm a diehard Bucks fan, and we just want to voice our opinions on the Bucks, and just want to let fans know what the Bucks have in store.
All right. And people, if you get a chance to check out their blog spot, go ahead and check it out. A lot of great information. And they're talking a lot about the draft, and they've mentioned a lot of draft picks that that you don't hear about with the local sports media in the Bay Area. You just don't hear certain names mentioned. You only hear about the Joey Bosa's and the Vernon Hargraves and a few of Noah Spence, but you really don't hear about a lot of the other players that they've kind of gone into depth on and talked about possible fits in the Buccaneers' offenses and defenses. So, guys, it's really exciting. This is draft week. It's also the first day of camp with the new regime under Dirk Cutter. So, what are your thoughts right now? Have you been hearing any buzz in the local area about camp starting today? Or let's get your thoughts. Let me start with you, Michael, and let's know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exciting just to have a new head coach and what he's going to bring, and also I wrote a post today about how the defensive staff is really going to bring accountability to the defensive players here, and I feel it's going to be a good thing. They're going to challenge them mentally and also bring a faster tempo and an energy that is needed here in Tampa. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and Mark, you have anything to add to that?
I am just jumping off what he's saying. Yeah, the defense is finally getting a passionate head coach or passionate defensive coordinator to push them to be accountable. Don't cause these stupid penalties that are going to ruin us on field position. Don't just play zone. Play to what your strengths are. Play defensive football. Don't play to some scheme where you don't know what you're doing. Play to your strengths. Easy.
Exactly, and that's the one thing that if you listen to the interviews from the defensive players, the Ayers, Brent Grimes, if you've listened to Quan Alexander, he's really excited about this. And, the one guy that I'm really curious to hear from is Gerald McCoy. Gerald McCoy has been through so many defensive coordinators that it's unfathomable it really is a testament to how good of a player he is. Having gone through this defensive scheme, you go to another defensive scheme, and you go to another defensive scheme, and here he is, 2016, and we're looking at another defensive scheme. So for him to maintain his ability to play and going to Pro Bowls and stuff through different defensive schemes is really a testament to him. How do you guys agree with? Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think McCoy is easily one of the best players in the league, and it's Jason Light's job now to get someone to pair with him, get an impact player next to him that can help him out. And I think they have a couple of those guys that can help, but they need more a consistent pass rusher, and I think they're definitely looking for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the guy has a great attitude, ultimate leader, leads by example, and I think he's just going to have another great year. I don't think it really matters what scheme he's in. I mean, if you're a great player, you can play any scheme.
Absolutely, man. That's a great point. So, you know, talking about the Bucks this week, we have the number 9 pick. I know we touched on that last week, and I'm going to start with the number 9 pick, and we're going to look at the draft now. We're just kind of jump over to the draft because that's where we're at right now, and that's the most important thing. We're trying to build that foundation, continue to build the foundation set by Jason Light, picking up the players like Quan Alexander, and sprinkling in some great, not great, but good defensive players, solid defensive players, I should say, like a Brent Grimes and Ayers coming in as well. So, Mark, I'm going to start with you. And who do you have at the number 9 pick?
Oh, I just wrote a post today about the number 9 pick. I mean, you can go any different way. Like me personally, I would try and drop down to 15 to the Titans to pick up more picks. But if they stay at number 9, if Bosa's there, yeah, easy selection. Take him. That's what everyone wants to do. Another popular selection is Vernon Hargraves. I'm not particularly as high as a lot of other people are. Yeah, he's smaller. He is an athlete, incredible athlete, but he's just not a top 10 player if it was me, GM, for the Buccaneers to take him that spot. I wouldn't want to trade up for Jalen Ramsey. I think it's too pricey. My partner disagrees because he is a great player, but I just don't believe you should trade up. Give up your picks, give up your ammo. We all know what Jason Light can do with all these picks to give up for one player. So,
Now,
go ahead.
kind of going off of that, who would you consider a game changer? So, and let's say that any one of the players that you really like would fall to number 9. Who would you say is that game changer that you would covet as a player? Because to me, based on what you said, it kind of sounds like you would be fine just trading down to 15. You think that there's not much of a drop off on level of talent from 1 to 15 with the position that you're looking to fill.
Oh, okay. So I'll describe it this way. It's actually the opposite because I think from after the top 6 players, like I've said before in your old podcast, after them it's a big drop off. So like from about 8 to about 15, they're going to be pretty much the same to me. So why not pick up more picks and take a guy that you just like as much at 9 as you can at 15? Because all those teams aren't really knowing what they want. Because after those top 6 guys, they don't know what they want. It's all like almost a coin flip because no one's 100%, okay, this is a really elite guy we need to have on our team. Like if
Right.
Joey Bosa were there, yeah, I'm saying right now, go put it in the car. And I'm one of the few that if Miles Jack is there, you got to take him. He's an elite athlete, probably the best defensive player in this draft in any position. He's pretty much a running back at the linebacker position. He's a freak. Like if he can put him in there, you can play him anywhere. He's not just a linebacker. He can drop back and be a safety. He can drop back and cover the zone. He can rush linebacker. He didn't show that in college because they never let him rush. But this guy can stop linemen in their tracks. Like he's shown on tape where he's stoned a lineman, 300-pounder, and he's what 250. That's
Yeah,
a pretty
something like that.
incredible thing for a guy 250 going up a 300-pound man, just stopping him in his tracks. This guy can do whatever he wants on the football field, and I would, if Bosa or Miles Jack are there, I would take him immediately. But if not, I'm looking to trade down.
All right. All right, Michael, and let's get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, what Mark was saying to you earlier about Jalen Ramsey, I feel if he drops to 6 or 7, I think the Bucks would definitely be interested in trading up to get him. Just because I know from sources that I've heard from, they love Jalen Ramsey. They think he's, the Jameis Winston on defense. But I also agree with Mark that, Jason Light values his draft picks and he can make smart selections and with those draft picks. And we're not one player away. I agree with that point. But Jalen Ramsey's probably I think he's the most impact player in this draft. But then again, if we can get a Joey Bosa at 9, I agree. Turn in the card. I also love Miles Jack, but Then again, I'm not sure how how Mike Smith would utilize him. Um, but I agree. I honestly I would like to trade down. If we can get more picks, then I would love that. If we can't get Boza, then I see them, and we have to stay at 9. And I see him taking either Shaq Lawson or Sheldon Rankins and going with a safe bet there.
Yeah. I've been reading up on a lot more on Sheldon Rankins, and I'm liking him a whole lot more. Uh,
Mhm.
his skill set looks like it will transition from college to the NFL. So I think that he would definitely be a good fit next to Joe McCoy. Um, while we're talking about the Buccaneers, what are your thoughts on Clint McDonald? I know he was injured for most of the season. Do you think that he can come back and make an impact on defense? Or before he got hurt, do you think that he was making enough plays to really warrant him holding that starting position?
Yeah, Clint McDonald, passionate player. Like he's another one. Leads by example, and he's just passionate on the football field. He's carrying other players. Like he's a grade A run stopper. Pass rush, maybe not the best, but he stands his ground. He won't let someone push him back, and he's in every play. He's going to be nose for the ball. And another one is no one talks about. Akeem Spence was doing pretty well last year. Like he did a big jump. He actually showed some pass rush, and everyone thought he was just a run stopper. So he's another guy that people need to keep their eye on. He's making strides to get better and better every year. I'll let Plus jump on after that.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of people, don't realize how big of a leader Clinton McDonald was to that defense, especially on the defensive line front. He was impact leaders for the front four, and a lot of the young guys followed Clinton McDonald. So I think that was more a loss there than so his play. Consistent player, but I think Akeem Spence is someone to watch for too, just because he's in a contract year this year. I think definitely he could be a player on the rise, and William Golston as well.
Yeah, I was just going to mention Will Golston, Howard Jones, guys that you don't hear their name mentioned on a regular basis. But I like what
Mhm.
William Golston did last year. I know he made some boneheaded plays, and he's been in the league long enough to know better. But I really feel like he will benefit from a new head coach or a new defensive coordinator. It looks like what he's trying to do is find people's strengths and play to their strengths. And when Mike Smith and I'm not sure about this, when Mike Smith was the head coach at Atlanta, I'm not
Mhm.
sure how much of his impact was on the defense or not. I kind of have to go all the way back to Jacksonville. I think one of you guys had mentioned looking at the game film from Jacksonville, and you can see where he got the most out of those players, and they really they were more competitive with him as a defensive coordinator.
Mhm.
So basically, what I like to do is kind of move on from this. We were talking about the number 9 pick. Let's go down to the second round, which we haven't really heard a lot about. But who are you guys like in the second round? Michael, I'm gonna start with you, and then I'll go to Mark.
Yeah, I think the second round would be a great round to target the safety position. I've been hearing from multiple sources that the Bucks love Keanu Neal from Florida. Me, as being a Gator fan, I've watched a lot of Keanu Neal's game. The guy can play. He loves to hit. Good speed. So I think he could be a target. Von Bell is another good safety. I love Carl Joseph, but I'm hearing now he could go first round. So I think safety would be a position to target, possibly defensive end, depending on what they do in the first round. I like Shadley Calhoun. I think that guy can be a great pass rusher in this league. Emmanuel Ogba is another name.
So
So that's
kind of getting back to Keanu.
mhm.
What are your thoughts on him and pass protection? I mean, as far as being that defensive guy against the pass, defending against the pass,
Yeah.
how do you feel like he'll transition into the NFL?
Oh yeah, I think he'll be fine. He played free safety in college his second year as a sophomore, and I thought he did very well. He made a lot of plays. I think he had 3 interceptions that year. So the guy can make plays on the ball. I don't think that will be an issue. So he's kind of versatile where he can play free or strong safety, which is a good sign.
Absolutely. All right, Mark. Second round. What are your thoughts on the second round?
Yeah, second round's all based upon what they do in the first. It should be a defensive player, but if they trade down, they don't see the same amount of value in the place where they're at, and they take an offensive player like a Corey Coleman. Wide receiver position's already taken. If they don't, second round, I'm a huge fan of Tyler Boyd. Production off the charts in college football. Broke Larry Fitzgerald's records. He's got the production. You're not scared about taking this guy. He may have ran 4.6, I believe, in the combine, but he also ran a 4.49 in his pro day. So he showed he can run with the best of them. It doesn't matter about that. He has the hands. He has the production. I wouldn't shy away from him. If
You know the
not a
one.
wide receiver, go ahead.
You know the one thing that bugs me is people look at the combine and the pro day. For
Mm-hmm.
me, it's just confirmation. Tape doesn't
Mhm.
Right.
lie. You look at your tape and you have confirmation. It's just basically like a big job interview. And as far as I'm concerned, I've seen players that didn't do good in the combine that turned out to be amazing athletes. So uh, I kind of take it with a grain of salt what the combine and the pro days are for. But when you look at the tape and you see how somebody does, you see their tendencies, you may see some of their weaknesses, and that's kind of what you base it on. And being here, I'm in Arizona, and I don't really get to see a lot of SEC games, unfortunately. And there's a lot of talent. And when I think about a player like Florida, like Vernon Hargraves or Keanu, I think about players that have played against elite schools. And when you look at the SEC, there's a lot of what I would consider elite schools or top tier schools. And it says a lot when your safety does good against certain programs that are great offensive programs. And that's kind of why I was asking you about your guy Keanu, and that's basically what I was looking at. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mean to cut you off, Mark.
Oh no, and I agree with what you're saying about the combine and the pro day, but that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping for scouts saying, "Oh, he's slow. He times slow, so we're not going to take him because of that." That's what Jason Light lives off of. Look how he's been productive. He's been taking guys that people don't think are good. Well, obviously they thrive in our schemes. So he knows what a football player is supposed to look like. Tyler Boyd is a football player. He's productive. He does everything he wants to do on the football field. But jumping on that about the SEC, another guy in the SEC, Jonathan Bullard from Florida, yet again, insane off the snap of the ball. Like everyone's talking about, Shaq Lawson isn't fast off the snap. Jonathan Bullard is total opposite. He's quick right off the snap. Like he's another guy, 10-yard split is insane. For a guy 300, almost 300 pounds, 289, 290, that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty insane for a guy moving that fast. And if
Right.
he's there in the second round, you haven't addressed the defensive position yet. Why not pair him next to McCoy and see what happens? That's
There
another
you go.
nasty combination right there. And also, the second round, if you haven't addressed defensive end, which everyone's dying for us to get, Bosa's not there. Okay, you're not going to immediately fix the pass rush position just by hoping Bosa's there, hoping you reach for a player that you shouldn't take at number 9. No Spence has a possibility of falling in the second round. There's character issues, the drug issues, everything could drop him down. Plus, to me, he's not worthy of a top 10 pick. Everyone early on was thinking, oh, he's top 10. He gets pushed back a lot, and he's not a perfect prospect. He could fall, and character issues could drop him even farther. So if he's there in second round, I'll take the risk in the second round. He's not a Daquan Bowers or injury prone about his knee or anything, problems with that. Not dedication to football. He's dedicated. He's
Yeah.
just not a perfect prospect. And if he's there in second round, I wouldn't mind taking that.
Yeah. And the one thing that I found with Jason Light in his draft picks, all of his draft picks so far are guys that are football smart. They're gym rats. They want to get better. They're honing their craft. Every time I saw, a case in point is Kenny Bell. Kenny Bell was with the number 5, the fifth round pick last year. This guy, you see him on the sidelines with a clipboard. You see him next to a coach. You see him looking at a monitor. You don't see him walking around socializing. You always see this guy. His eyes are on the field. He's trying to get better. You look at Jameis Winston and what Jameis Winston was able to do. He's dropped 13 pounds. He's getting in physical football shape. He wants to win. These guys, Quan Alexander was probably the most remorseful person I've ever seen off of a suspension. He wants to get better, and you can hear that in his interviews. So I think that what Jason Light is going for are these guys that they got it up here from the neck up, and that's what you want. And I think he made the statement that players that are busts are normally busts because they don't have it from the neck up. They may have all the physical traits. They may do good in the combine, but from here to here, and they just don't have it. They're not trying to hone their craft. They're not trying to, get better. And, it's all about just being in the NFL, maybe collecting a check. I can't really say for sure what goes through their minds, but that's kind of what I'm seeing.
Yeah, he said you don't just draft a player, you draft the man. So it's not just, it's a guy with a number on his back. You got to see what he's made of. Is he passionate about football? Is he wanting to get better? Or does he just want to collect a paycheck? And that's, majority of the guys are. Like, look at what happened to Johnny Manziel. Like, who saw that? Like, that's a whole 180 flip to, is he even going to survive, let alone make it in the NFL? Like, he doesn't even worry about the NFL right now. He doesn't worry about his own life. But
Yeah.
Jason Light knows what he's talking about. He has a proven track record with draft picks, and it's literally, and he had a press conference saying that of all the people who have come in, there's a long list, and Robert Nkemdiche and Noah Spencer both on that list. And he said there's no problem with the character concerns of anyone that's come in right now. So that's saying high praise for those two.
Yeah, absolutely. That's, it speaks volumes right there. And just keep in mind, he was in Arizona when they were vetting Tyrann Mathieu.
Yep.
And you can look at his history, and you can see he's made a total 180. I mean, just what he does, what he means to the community here is just, it's crazy. And you listen to him talk. When Will Smith was killed in Louisiana, just listening to him talk, he sounds like a guy that, he doesn't even sound like the same player that was at LSU. And to me, that just speaks volumes about Jason Light's ability to look past all this stuff and see, hey, this is the guy that we want. I mean, I'm not going to say he's perfect, but what he's done so far is positive compared to the previous general manager that we had.
Yeah, I was going to add, like, Tyrann Mathieu, like, you looked at him, he was passionate about football. He would leave his heart out on the line during the game. You could tell it during his championship games with LSU. You could just tell, like, that's what he lived for. And that's what it is. Like, a lot of people see these off-the-field issues. These guys are 18, 19, 20 years old in college. They're still kids. People make mistakes when they're kids. Like, you can't blame them for what they've done. And Jason Light made the biggest decision, putting his career on the line with Jameis Winston. Everyone was like, stay away from him. He's a mistake. Don't do it. He's going to be in jail in the first 3 years of his career. He's not going to be making it in the NFL. That was the big, over or under. Is he going to make it 3 years, or is he going to be in jail? And look at how he's done his first year. He's dedicated himself. It's not the off-the-field issues. You got to know the man for if he's dedicated in football. Does he want to be better in football? And Robert can. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to add to that. You're absolutely right. As being in college, I can tell you. Well, the statute of limitations is up, so I can tell you, I've done some stuff that was stupid stuff, as a college person does. We stole a nativity scene from a bank one time in front of a bank, and it was just stupid stuff. You just do it. And when you look past all of the stuff that Jameis Winston's done, with the exception of his accuser, which the truth will come out once that unfolds. But you look at some of the other stuff that he's done: the crab legs, the BB gun, the whatever he said in the lunchroom. You know what? Minor, boneheaded, you're just being a immature kid, And that's what it all comes down to. I'm not excusing it. I'm saying they blew it up to be bigger than what it was. And
it was the biggest thing in Tallahassee, pretty much. That's what it is. Biggest thing in Tallahassee. There's nothing in Tallahassee besides Jameis Winston. So everything he does is going to be publicity off the roof. Like he was it. That's what happens.
Yeah. So just kind of getting back to Jason, like I'm really I sing his praises because I thought that what he's been able to do in 2 drafts, I'm impressed. I think that he's really, he's raised the bar, and I expect big things. I think it's unrealistic to expect to find 4 starters that are productive from rookies, but if he can get half of that, I mean, you're building onto the foundation that Tampa already has. So,
Good, man.
Yeah,
oh yeah, go ahead, Mike.
yeah. I was just going to say. I mean, Jason Light's looking for 5 starters this year. He's not satisfied. He's going to try to do his best to beat last year's draft, and I wouldn't put it past him to do that. I mean, the guy. We've been saying it. Me and Mark been saying it all along. This guy, he's a football guy. The guy knows what to look for. He's learned from some of the best. Mark just put up an article about him, how he's learned from the greats of Andy Reid. He's worked with the Patriots, with Belichick and their staff. John Robinson, who's doing great things in Tennessee. Steve Klein and Bruce Arians, who I think Dirk Cutter could be the next Bruce Arians, but that's another story. But yeah, I think Jason Light, he's got great staff. We could go down with his scouts, John Spytek from Denver, who's done a good job building their team over there. They just won a Super Bowl. He's got Rob McCartney, Mike Beal, who's their head of college scouting. So I mean, he's just got the right pieces in place, and his staff and himself, they just do a great job of finding the right guys.
Yeah, and just think about this. They're on the same page. So you have
Mhm.
Jason Light, Dirk Cutter. They're on the same page. That is vital
Mhm.
in any organization. You look at the Carolina Panthers, and I know a lot of people are like, man, why do you keep bringing them up? They
Mhm.
have continually gone to the playoffs. Continue,
Mhm.
since they figured out their formula. They have Dave Gettleman and they have Ron Rivera, and they work well together. They're a cohesive unit. Dave Gettleman knows what Ron Rivera can use in his schemes, and that's what he gets players that fill those holes. I think where Tampa is right now, I think once Dirk Cutter gets in, I really do believe that you could potentially see something like that with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as well. So that's a very exciting to see a general manager and a head coach that are of one accord, and you're not having any division. Well, you handle this part of it, you handle this part of it. Basically, the general manager is getting all these pieces in place for the head coach. So to me, that's very exciting. I like the moves that they've made in the offseason, and I think that Tampa is in a good spot to really do some big things this year. And another thing that I do want to say this because it kind of frustrates me. People are already looking at the schedule for Tampa, and they pretty much written us off. Now, what you have to keep in mind is the teams that you see on paper are not the same teams that you saw last year. Some teams are pretty consistent, but there are some pieces missing. There may not be the same thing. You may have an injury here and there. You never know what team you're going to face on Sunday until you get there. So I guess for me, fans need to just look at the schedule. Hey, I want to go to this game. That should be about it. Because if this coaching staff can get this team rolling with the talent that they have, I think that they can do some big things. I think they can win some games that a lot of people do not see them winning.
Mhm.
Oh, I
Yeah,
fully
I would
agree.
agree. Yeah.
But
Go ahead, Mark.
no, I fully agree. I mean, just look at the schedule. People are losing pieces. We're not the only people losing or gaining pieces. Like you were saying, Denver Broncos, they won the Super Bowl last year, but who's their quarterback? Who are they going to use to fill in for Malik Jackson or the linebacker left to Chicago, or they believe they lost a safety also? There's a three key pieces on each level of the defense they got to plug in. You don't just plug in for Pro Bowl players. That's like if we lost Joe McCoy. You don't just plug in a guy to fix a top three pick, defensive tackle. Oh, yeah, we're going to be just as good as the defense, even though we're not a good defense right now.
Yeah.
But you don't just throw someone in to make us better. Like, it just doesn't happen that way. And they're going to have to go through some growing pains, just like everyone else. Like, you got to be able to find players to step up and step in. Like, not everyone's going to be a Pro Bowl player along the lines of the people they've lost. So you can't expect them to be the Super Bowl team they are. Like they aren't like the Seahawks who didn't lose anyone. Like they're going to have someone to step in. They don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback no more. Like they still have the pieces around, but they don't have a quarterback in general right now. You go walk out there with Mark Sanchez and see if they beat the Bucs next year.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You still, people look at the schedule from the year before and they're like, I mean, look, no, a lot of people thought that Tampa was only going to win 2 games last year, and I heard that I don't know how many times, and Tampa, it totally, they disproved that. They beat Dallas, and a lot of people are still upset about that, but they beat Dallas. You look at the wins and losses, and you forget about what's on paper. And when you look at wins and losses, there were games that Tampa should have won, but they didn't. You got to go out and play those games. You know what I mean? And so each season, when I say any given Sunday, that's not a cliche. That's a fact. When you go out and play, there's no telling what you can do. I mean, I look at the Philadelphia Eagles game last year. Who thought that Philadelphia was going to get washed up the way they did?
No one.
So, that's just basically what I'm saying. I'll get back to the draft, but I wanted to throw that in there because it's very frustrating when people write off their team because of looking at the schedule.
Yeah, Gene, let me just say this. The Bucs have Jameis Winston, so I see, as long as we have Jameis Winston, the Bucs are going to be in every game. That's all I got to say about that.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. Mark, your thoughts?
Yeah, I fully agree with him. I'm a huge Jameis Winston fan, always have been. Like, he's a competitor, he's passionate, he's everything you want in a quarterback to lead your team. He's gonna win us games just based on his ability alone. Like he's shown on an Atlanta game where it's 4th and 19, he scrambles for a first down. Like he wants it. He wants it more than anyone else on the field, and he will do that at least 2 or 3 times next year. I guarantee it. And he'll will us to win. He may joke around, but once it comes time, Sunday game time, he's in the zone. He knows what he wants to do, and he wants to win.
Well, there you go, man. And I kind of want to get back to the draft. I know we were talking about the second round. What about the third, the later rounds? Who are some value picks that you can potentially see in the later rounds that Tampa could use? I know that we've been talking a lot about players that are going to come in and fill holes. Vincent Jackson was injured last season, and we know he's getting up in age, and I know there was some talk about whether or not he was going to come back. Do we find a wide receiver in this draft to groom to possibly come in for him, or what do you see in the wide receiver position? I know that's a position we have a sort of a handle on, but what are your thoughts on the wide receiver position?
Go ahead, Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, I would say wide receiver could definitely be targeted in the third round. I look at a guy like Braxton Miller out of Ohio State. I think he's a guy that can bring some shiftiness, sort of similar to Charles Sims, and he can also do punt returns. He's got good speed, can kind of bring that burner ability that this offense kind of needs right now. I look at him. I look at Sterling Shepard as another guy, more quick than fast, but can make plays downfield. If you wanted to go outside the box, I look at a guy like Rutgers. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think it's Carew, but that guy is physical. It's kind of similar to Mike Williams, but it has his head on straight.
All right. And Mark, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's all depending what they're doing in the first round. Yet again, you were saying we're comfortable at wide receiver. I don't believe we are. But past Mike Evans, you don't know anything for sure. Like, we have Kenny Bell. You don't know what you have in Kenny Bell. You don't know what you have in VJax. He's, 33 going on 34, coming off an injury. Lewis Murphy's coming off ACL. You don't even know when he's going to come back. Like, there's a huge question marks in the wide receiver position. And when Vincent Jackson went down, you could see it. Like, Winston had no one to go to. He had to go Mike Evans nonstop, whether he's dropping 9 balls or not. Well, hopefully that fixes, but still, we need someone else to help that out. And I'm 100% Jason Light's looking into that. He sees that. He sees he needs to help out his franchise quarterback. He did that by getting a left tackle on Donovan Smith and a right guard in Ali Marpet. What's wrong with helping him out with a weapon? And I can see him doing that extremely early. I can see it in the first round. And I've been huge on Corey Coleman. I think he's a freak athlete. He's someone that could immediately change a team's offensive perspective. Like, he can catch it and run it all the way back in one play. If they want to trade back and get more picks, I'd be more comfortable taking them. At 9, I wouldn't be that comfortable. 15, 100%. If they'd make that trade with the Titans, I wouldn't be shy away from that at all. At all. But, yeah, second round, I'm looking Tyler Boyd, like I mentioned. Round, maybe third round, if he slips 2 there, Sterling Shepard, like Mike said. He's extremely shifty, not anywhere near as Corey Coleman, but he's quick and he can make some adjustments on the field. But,
so where do you play? Where would you play him? Where would you put him in the slot, or would you? Where would you?
Corey Coleman?
Where would you use? Yeah.
Corey Coleman, you can use him all over the field. If you saw him in college, he played halfback, he played punt return, he played slot, he played outside, he played anywhere. He's one of those players that you can just plug and play. He's a superior athlete to anyone else that's going to be on the field. Like, he ran a 4.37 in his pro day, which, yeah, we're not huge on numbers, but still, this is recovering from a sports hernia. Like,
right.
This guy is a freak. Like, he's similar, we're comparing him to Steve Smith and Joey Galloway. He's a freak athlete. He's one of those guys that you just tell him to go. You throw it up there, you let him chase the ball. He's going to put that fear in the defensive back's mind of, I better back up a couple steps because he's going to beat me. And make the safety back up, and Mike Evans cut across the middle, first down all day. So, I mean, he can make this offense special. I'm just saying that. But the defense has bigger knees, but who's the best player on the board? That's what Jason Light's going to go after. But as say towards your question, Corey Coleman, Tyler Boyd, Sterling Shepard in third. I wouldn't reach for the second because he's on the shorter side. He is an athlete, but I'd go more third. And later, Mike Thomas, not the Ohio State. I believe he's, what was that, Mike? He's different school. He's small school. Southern Mississippi.
Yeah, Southern Miss. Yeah.
He's another guy we're really looking at. He's a small school guy, and he's a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm finding, that a lot of the small school guys are going to the NFL now, and they're playing really good. So, I mean, I think before, there was always that misconception about you went to a smaller school, you didn't face the same talent as some of these other guys. But there are some guys that are really making noise in the NFL, coming from smaller schools.
Oh yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I love Matt Judon out of Grand Valley State, Javon Hargrave, Ryan Smith, all these guys I've wrote about at Real Bucks Talk. They're just impact players, and they dominate their competition, and that's what you look for in small schools. Small school players, if they jump on the film and they dominate their leagues, that's what you're looking for. And a lot of these guys do that. So I think they could be steals, going early as the third round.
Yeah, just watching the Senior Bowl last year with Ali Marpet and what he was able to do, nobody else saw that. And it was so funny when he was drafted. There were so many people that were upset with that move, but just watching this kid play, and he's nasty. He's not just your run-of-the-mill, offensive line guy. He's nasty, and you'll probably see him a lot more aggressive this year with the J.R. Sweezy on that line as well. You just you'll see him continue to progress, but that's a good example. And there were all these question marks about Ali Marpet because he went to a smaller school, but I feel like he's answered those questions and then some. I know he's made rookie mistakes, but at the same time, he's made play after play after play, and I'm really happy with the pick.
Oh, huge. And I'm huge on physical attributes like length of arms,
the eye test,
size. Yeah, the eye test. I'm huge on that. Like, if you can have that and a brain, I'd rather have that than a smaller guy. I'm just saying. I mean, I just love the bigger guy over the smaller guy. Let's just say that. And Ali Marpet has it all. He's just in a small school. Massive hands. I think it was like 11-inch hands. Those are huge. You're a bear claw. You're throwing people around. Plus, he's what 6'3", 300 easy, throwing people around in his competition. Like
He's a mauler.
oh yeah, and he had no problem with it. And in the NFL, he's the same thing. Like he's the real deal at right guard, and he's all about run blocking, and he's going to get better as a pass blocker. Just give him time.
You know, I remember one play, and we'll kind of move on, but Danny Sheridan, I think is his name, from Cleveland, and he was going up against Ali Marpet, and Ali Marpet basically stood him up and moved him around. And that, to me, I was like, wow, this guy is huge, but this guy here is moving him around, and it was crazy. So, you know, that's I guess kind of going back to Jason Like a little bit. He's seeing all this stuff. He's a personnel guy, and that's what you need in a general manager, is somebody that's a personnel guy. So, you know, again, I expect to see bigger things from him this season. As you know, as you mentioned, Michael, that he's going to try to top getting the 4 players and go for more players on that in the starting to really contribute for the team. So
I wanted to add one more thing too.
Oh, go ahead.
Like you were saying about starters. I mean, yeah, it's hard to find 4 or 5 starters in the draft, but you got to look about what he's talking about. Yeah, you're not going to find another left tackle starter. You're not going to find a quarterback starter again. But what positions do we need to start? Like, you got to think what a starter is. Like fullback, like I mentioned in the last podcast. Fullback is a position you can find a starter in late in the draft. Kick returner, that's considered to me a starter. We don't have one. Bobby Rainey was our kick returner. We don't have one right now. That's considered a starter. You can find that's already 2. I would already consider the first round pick's going to be a starter. That's 3 starters right there in one draft. Jason Light's good enough. He'll find 3 or 4. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. Those are great points. I mean, I didn't even think about it like that, but yeah, like a kick returner, a fullback, which so Javorsky Lane he didn't return to Tampa. Where is he at now?
Recovering from that.
He's a free agent.
He's still recovering?
Yeah, he's not coming back.
Yeah. So we would definitely need a fullback then. I thought he did an admirable job up until he got hurt. So hopefully, you know, like you said, you know, we can find somebody in the later rounds that may be able to fill that hole. Anybody else that you can think of that we might, viewers might want to look at with the upcoming draft as a potential player of interest for the Bucs?
Why don't you go first?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: a guy to keep an eye on for the 9th overall pick. Mark disagrees, but I think the Bucs have a lot of interest in him. I see him similar to almost an Alden Smith, Simeon Rice type. Leonard Floyd out of Georgia probably has the most talent as far as pass rushers go. The guy is a quick twitch athlete, 4'6", 40, great size at 6'6". Needs to add some playing strength, but the guy can get after the quarterback. And Anthony Beck recently came out with his best defensive players as far as pass rushers go, and he had Leonard Floyd number 1. So, and I respect Anthony Beck's opinion. So I think that's a guy to watch out for, especially if we trade down. I think Leonard Floyd could be an option. I mean, the only downside to him, he's 24 years old going into this season. That's a little bit on the older side, but the guy's a great prospect, and I think he could be an option to look out for, just as a wild card.
Okay. All right. And Mark?
First round I can spit off probably a good 5 or 6 names I would love personally, but like later in the draft, everyone's been talking about first round. Let's talk about later. Like later in the draft, I mentioned to you Dakota Gordon, fullback, San Diego State. He's a mauler. I would love him to be a fullback for the Buccaneers. He's, I believe, a Jason Light player. He's the guy who's going to go attack the player in front of him. He doesn't stop until the whistle blows. That's a J.R. Sweezy. Like, picture him at fullback. 5'11", 240. He's a cannonball. Like, you want that as a fullback. And I would perfectly see him in our fullback position. At right tackle, we obviously need that. I mean, DeMar Dotson, he was named the right tackle. But is he going to stay? He only has 1 year on his contract. Coming off the injury from last year. I mean, Sean Coleman out of Auburn, he played left and right tackle. I mentioned him earlier in your last podcast. He's another mauler. Like, he is aggressive. He may be coming off of his beating cancer. He may be turning 25 in his first year, but he's almost, to me, if he's playing right tackle, he's like a plug and play. He's going to go get after it. He's another guy that loves football, loves attacking the man in front of him, beating the man in front of him. Like, not just attacking him, just beating him. And he doesn't stop till the whistle blows. I love those types of players, and he shows that on the tape nonstop. Later guys, other than those two, I love those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
you can see the
I'll
Deion
jump in here,
Jones.
Mark.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll say, me being a Florida guy, I love Alex McAllister, defensive end out of Florida. Similar to Leonard Floyd, 6'6", about 240. Guy's a great athlete. Had a short shuttle of, I think it was 4 flat. So superior short area quickness. Can get after the quarterback. Has the bend on the edge that you're looking for when you look for a pass rusher. I think he could be a guy the Bucs target as early as the 3rd round, 4th round area. Again, I mentioned them earlier. Another guy I love is Ryan Smith, small school guy, corner, good size. He's about 6 foot, 190. Can play. Just love the guy. He's come a long way. He used to be a former receiver. He was only about $155 going into college, and he's just worked so hard and really has dominated his level of competition. And then another guy is Matt Judon, who I love. He's big as well, 6'3", 6'4". Can get after the quarterback. I think he led the nation in sacks. I think it was 20. So the guy knows how to rush the passer.
So there are some players, there are some value picks out there. Based on what I've been reading,
Absolutely.
this is the heaviest defensive class that we've seen in a while, where there are quality picks throughout the whole draft. So I know a lot of people only watched maybe the first couple of rounds last year, but as a Bucs fan, I really hope that Bucs fans can watch the whole draft from 1 to 7 rounds, because there are going to be some players, and I'm going to go out here on a limb and say this, there are going to be some players that you're going to see on Sundays that come out of the draft. They may be later round picks, but I really do believe that we'll see some players that are going to come out and help this team win some games.
Oh, there always is.
Oh, yeah,
There always is.
Yeah.
But, and not to harp on the past, but you got to consider the 2 previous general managers that we've had, and you look at the draft picks and the enormous number of misses on those draft picks as opposed to hits. And, you get in a mindset of the draft isn't, after the first round is not important, but there are a lot of players that are out there that could be available in the later rounds. So I want to reiterate to Bucs fans, please, check out the whole draft and do your homework on the guys that Jason Licht is picking for us, because I'm really comfortable saying that there are going to be some players in the later rounds that will be helping to make plays for this team.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, who knew who Joseph Isofoa was, or wherever, the fullback from Hawaii? No one knew who that is.
Joey
Made the
Osefo,
roster.
yeah.
Yeah, he got cut, but look, he got signed on by the Patriots. Look what he did for them. He put up some 100-something yard game in the regular season. Like, Jason Licht knows what he's taking. Like, they're going to be good players. You may not know who they are, but they're going to be guys that have a niche, like guys that know how to play the game, guys that want to play the game and want to succeed in the game. And
Yeah. Case in point,
yeah, like,
Quan Alexander. I missed horribly on Quan Alexander. When his name was called, I was like, man, I thought they should have picked this guy, and this guy. And then to see what he does, even in the preseason, and how much he means to this team by the last game he played, it just speaks volumes about Jason Licht as a personnel guy.
talent evaluator. He does typical, which is a perfect example of what he is. Talent evaluator. He knows talent. He sees it on tape. He has the staff around him that will be like, okay, well, listen, there's this guy out here. I see him. Like he'll be the first one to throw compliments to his scouting department, always left and right. He's like, if we talk to each other, I'm not the last one. He's the last one to make the decision, but he's listening with both ears. Like he knows how confident they are in their evaluations.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, man. This guy, he knows, and that's just kind of going back to that. You're more confident this season than you were in the past with what he's going to be able to do to this team and the players that he's going to be able to bring on. Mike, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. I mean, I put it like this: he's a great grocery shopper. He knows what to look for when he goes to the grocery store. He knows where to find the milk and the bread, and he finds the right produce, and they just blossom. The guy knows what to look for. I mean, we've been saying it this whole time on Real Bucks Talk. I mean, we love the guy. We think he's going to be the best GM this team has ever had, and I see multiple Super Bowl runs coming for this team.
Mark, were you gonna add to that, or are you?
Oh no, I fully agree. Like Jason Light, I've said it before. He walks into a room, you think he's the smartest man in that room. Like he's got the eye for talent. He knows what he's looking for, and he's going to make this team better. That's plain and simple. He knows what he wants to do.
Yeah. All right, and the last part of this show, I kind of wanted to talk about some non-Buck things that just kind of irritated me, rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. I wanted to start out with Sam Bradford asking for a trade. I have a problem with this because Sam Bradford hasn't proven anything to anybody other than he can get hurt. And for him to act like he is an elite quarterback that demands this, and this, he hasn't proven anything. And Philadelphia should make him stay there and earn the starting spot. He hasn't done anything, and he's here. He's asking for a trade. It shouldn't go down like that. He needs to be quiet, get in there, and earn the starting spot. Am I wrong in saying this?
You can go ahead first.
No, I agree. Yeah, I would agree. I think Sam Bradford is not much of a quarterback if he doesn't think he can beat out a second overall pick. If he doesn't think he can beat out Carson Wentz, then he's got a bigger issue, and he should just retire now, because if you're running from competition, how do you expect to be a franchise quarterback in this league? I don't think the guy's a leader. I think when he came into this league, he was a first overall pick. He got a lot of money, and I think he's been pretty much given a silver spoon on a platter, and he's expecting everything to go his way, and hasn't been able to stay healthy. I think the guy's fragile, and if he doesn't have the perfect offensive line to give him time, he's just going to keep getting hurt. I think the guy is a waste of time, and I think he shouldn't be on a team, to be honest.
Yeah, I can see it from both sides. So, he only signed a 2-year deal. It's not like they're investing everything on him. They invested on that second pick, I'll say that. But he has room to sit there and whine because he thought he was going to be the quarterback, but now he's not. Okay, well then, give him a place where he wants to be. So for a selfish position, I can see what he's saying. But they invest in that second-round pick, so let them take their quarterback and see if you can beat them out. If you can't, then ask for your trade. Don't cry about it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the big point for me was, basically he hasn't done anything in Philadelphia to warrant that I own this position. You're going to take it from me. He basically left question marks at the end of the season as to whether this guy can produce. So, the moves that Philadelphia made, the new head coach is not married to Sam Bradford. So why not go out and get a guy that's your guy that you can bring in? It's business. That's what happens in the NFL. So, if he doesn't understand that, like you said, maybe he shouldn't play. but that's just how I'm looking at it. That really bugged me when I heard about that.
Let me just say this. The Rams and the Eagles are picking first and second, right? So Sam Bradford was the quarterback of the Rams to begin with, and then he went to the Eagles, and they both need quarterbacks now. I think that's the problem right there. That explains it all. So pretty much
Touche.
he destroyed two franchises. They're looking for quarterbacks to replace him. So I think that solves it all.
Yeah, basically, right there you go, man. So, anything else that you guys can think of that's really happening in the NFL other than Johnny Manziel's career being finally washed down the toilet? Um, this guy, I was not for him coming to Tampa. I remember there was so much talk about Johnny Manziel coming to Tampa, so many rumors, and it divided the fan base because I for one felt like his receivers and his tight ends bailed him out so many times, and I didn't feel like he was in a realistic type of offense in college, and he was able to kind of get away with making his own plays up, and I just didn't feel like that is going to work in Tampa, considering what Tampa needed to get better.
Oh, Gene, I got to be honest. I loved him coming out of college. He was
Yeah.
literally do anything you want with a football type of guy, and like I think he let that get to his head, and that's where Jason Light says 90% about it is about above the neck. I mean, let it get to his head, and he thought his whole world was, oh, he's the best thing in the world, and he crashed down. He's burning right now. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously a lot of teams saw that. That's why he didn't go high in the first round. That's why the Cleveland Browns reached for him because to me, Cleveland doesn't know what the heck they're doing. They hired a baseball guy to do what is it the number crunch in football.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see numbers in football. I just really don't see it. I mean, I'm sorry, Cleveland. You're not getting me with that one. But John Manziel, he's ruined his career. I loved him coming out of college. I was all for it if they could have gotten him at the right time, but thankfully they didn't do it. And they
Yeah.
got the guy I really wanted to Winston. Winston, I'm all behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mike, what are you gonna say?
agree with that. Yeah, I would agree with that. I love Manziel as well, but I'm happy we got Mike Evans. Also, kind of wanted Aaron Donald. I thought that guy was
Oh yeah.
just an animal. But to get Mike Evans and then to get James Winston next year, we're blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a Teddy Bridgewater guy myself, and
Okay.
I think that I was really frustrated. I think what turned me off from the combines was what happened to Teddy Bridgewater because you look at his film and you said this
Yeah.
guy's his skill set will translate to the NFL. You'll hear me say that a lot, translate to the NFL, because some guys you look at them and you're like, no, college, that's your cutoff. Maybe you need to get into announcing or possibly maybe coach a high school football team or something. But NFL is not in your cards. But then there are other guys, and you look at them and they have all the physical tools. But like you said, from here to here, they don't have it. So
Right.
there are those guys that kind of
Ryan Leaf.
mess it up for everybody else. Huh?
Ryan Leaf.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. A guy that could go from a number 2 overall pick to robbing pharmacies. I mean, anything is possible in this NFL. So, I mean, that was kind of my take on it. I feel bad for him. And let me say this. Football players are human beings. We as fans, we get to watch them, and we see them on Sundays. But at the end of the day, they're human beings. And I really hope that this guy, just like Gordon, I hope they can get help
Yeah.
for whatever demons that they're fighting against. And I don't wish any ills toward anybody, but it's not everybody that gets the opportunity to come into the NFL. You get the keys to the car handed to you, and all you have to do is make it work. And there are a lot of kids out there that strive for that. They don't have the physical tools to do it, so they're not able to make it. But then you have a guy that has those attributes, but he doesn't make it work. So it's just sad all the way around.
It's true. It's true. I mean, Cleveland's just not the place for any of these guys to begin. Like, there's no comfort in anywhere. There's no leadership. There's no stability in the front office, let alone the team. So, guys like
Yeah,
Manziel, Josh Gordon, those are just problems waiting to happen. Like,
yeah,
they need
and
stability. They don't need a player like Manziel or Josh Gordon.
yeah. Well, it's kind of funny that RG3 ended up in Cleveland. I personally am curious. This is one of those back stories that I'm going to be watching to see how he does in Cleveland, because he made a big sell. And for him to admit that some of the problems that happened in Washington were self-inflicted, that speaks volumes about his character, to say, hey, I was part of the problem. So it remains to be seen how that's all going to roll out here in Cleveland. And I think that with the number of draft picks they have, if they can hit on some of those, I mean, the team will be better. You have to at least say that. I I guess that's as good as I can really say it. They'll be better than what they were last year.
High hopes.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's 11 o'clock your time, and we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it over to you guys, and we're going to do final thoughts. Whether it's on your blog, what are you writing about? What do you have upcoming that you're writing about, or just how we could get at you? Anything that you want to say before we close this out. Mike, I'm going to start with you since I started with Mark in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, just check out realbuckstalk.blogspot.com. We cover everything from free agency, draft, anything about the Bucks roster-wise. We love talking about Jason Light. And we got more coming up with the draft only less than 48 hours away. So we're really passionate about that. Thursday for the draft, I mean, we'll be on Twitter, so if fans have any questions or anything, we'd love to answer because we love to talk with the fans. And we'll be covering the draft pretty much throughout every pick. And I got something coming out Thursday. It's going to be more on the Friday part of the draft about the second and third rounds, which I think has the best value in this draft. So I'll have more on that. And just looking forward to another great draft by Jason Light.
All right. And Mark?
Yeah, same as Mike. I mean, we're going to be all over the draft. Thursday is going to be all real buck stock, all over Twitter. Just you want a question, shoot it our way. We're going to be answering anything. Like we're going to be all over every pick, not just the Bucks, hoping that people fall to us. And if they don't fall to us, what decisions is Jason Light going to do? What direction could he go? What trade down partners are there? What trade up partners are there? Like everything, draft day is going to be all Buccaneers. Like, and that's not just Thursday. It's going to be Thursday, Friday. So we're one of the nerds that watch it all through 1 through 7. We're going to be on it. Don't you worry
And
about that.
And that's great, man. And like I said, you guys do great work. And folks, if you can, check out this blog. I love it. One more thing I did have a question about. For the fans that follow you, can they ask questions and like on your blog and get answers, or maybe you write about something based on fan questions, or do you do anything like that?
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
we have comments that you can leave on every post, and we'll respond instantly to every comment. So yeah, we appreciate if you guys leave comments or anything like that. You can always hit us on Twitter. We're always on there responding. So yeah, feel free.
If you
All
agree or
right.
disagree, just throw it out there. We'll be glad to argue our case. You can argue yours. It doesn't matter. It's Bucks fans either way.
Yep, and that's the key right there, man. This off season, I've seen so much more negativity than I've seen in past years. And what people have to realize, we're Bucks fans, win or loss. And what Tampa fans have gone through, if you're a fan at this point and you started out as a fan in the early to mid 2000s and you're still a fan now, you're a fan. You're a fan, because we've had some rough seasons, and we've had some really, really rough seasons. So if you can call yourself a Bucs fan right now, you are a Bucs fan. So I like to get comments as well. If I get any comments from people on YouTube, I'll definitely pass those over to you guys. And I'm going to go ahead and close the show out and say thank you to both of you. I really, really appreciate you guys coming on and providing your insight on what you think Tampa will do with the draft. Uh, I would like to get you on. I'm trying to do the show. I'm trying to make it to where there's not an off season for Bucks information. I would like to have you guys on in a couple of weeks when, once we've seen all the dust is settled, we see who Tampa has, and we kind of see how everything is forming, and then again, periodically throughout the regular season, because I really like what you guys are doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Just thank you a lot, Gene. Like this, we enjoy it just as much as you do. I mean, this is fun both ways. Don't you worry about
Yeah.
that.
All right. Well, folks, thank you for checking out Buck What You Heard. I appreciate everybody viewing the show, and any questions or concerns you have, hit me up on Twitter. Once again, my Twitter handle, Super Heavyweight. You can hit me up. You add me, I'll add you back, and we'll definitely get this going. I will be posting this show on the Real Bucks Talk site on Facebook, so you will be able to see it there. You will be able to see a link also on Twitter, and I'm sure they'll retweet that once I get this up. So everybody, thanks a lot. New fans, thanks for checking me out. Everybody have a good night, and I'm out.